Hello guys, so today we'll learn about object, trait and classes and and following like we learn about case classes. Okay, so now what we have done is like I created a trait, right, and it will have only one parameter, and I created a cat and a dog, right, which I'm extending it to pet. And I just created an object where I defined this method called bark. So and I'm passing a pet. Okay, so this is what the pattern matching is all about. If pet is of type cat, then it should bark as meow. And if it pet is of type dog, then it should bark as bow. Right, so that is what I have done. Like this is a pattern matching can be done in multiple ways. One case is more like a switch statement in any of the languages, and another one is like you are defining what is the type of it, and based on that you are kind of returning a value. Okay, so remember guys, this is what a pattern match is all about. Like you are matching whether it is of type cat or dog, and based on that we are actually doing it over here. Now let's go back to our try, and then I just created a simple test class, the Scala test class, and I had written like, as you see here, since I defined it as an object, I don't need to initialize it. I can straight away use it. So that is the advantage of object. You don't need to initialize it. You can straight away use it, and it will always have a single instance. Right, so trait class bark, and if it is dog, it should equals to bow, and if it is cat, it should equals to meow. So good guys, and now like these two are kind of passed, right? Now let us see if, let us write another method to verify if both the animals are kind of same. Okay, so let's go back to our trait case. Okay, so define, now what I'm specifying is or equal method. I'm passing like pet1 of type pet, comma, pet2 of type pet, right? And yeah, it should return a boolean if both are equal. Now all I need is return if pet1 dot equals pet2. Okay, now let's try doing it. Should return equal if both are same pets in, right? So what I'll do is, again, like we create a dog, right? So initialize it. Now let's assert a condition where I'm specifying, yeah, like straight case dot or equal, and I'm passing like cat comma dog. Both will be null, so I'm expecting it to be false. So that's why I'm putting not equal to. And when I assert trait case, again like r equal dog comma dog. It should actually, since both are like equal objects, it should throw an equal statement, right? So now let us run this. Good, our test passed, like both are kind of going accordingly. Now let us write a few more dogs, right? So what I can do is I'm just giving list of dogs. Let's write dog2 is equal to again new dog, right? Of let's name it as Simba, right? Let's create Control Z. Let's create another dog, right? So by mistake, like somebody has initialized Tyson, reinitialized Tyson, or in some cases, so let us say dog visited a particular store, and let us say these are like dog 1, dog 2, dog 3 are like list of dogs which kind of received in a store, right? So Tyson, Simba, and Tyson. So these are the three dogs that have actually approached. When I'm actually passing this, now let us write few more assert statements. So when you put dog 2 here, so what I'm expecting is like, yeah, so here it should be unequal, but both are Tysons, like dog and dog 3 are both are Tysons. I was expecting that both should be equal. Now let's run this statement and see what will happen. What it specified is it kind of failed. Okay, so where it failed? Though both the dogs are named after Tyson, since we created two different instances, right, so it actually turned as false. Now, how would you manage it? So how would you make sure, like, since though I create like two instances of the dog, but as long as the properties are same, I would expect that both should be treated as equals, right? So that is when I will actually create a case statement. Now let's go back to trait class. So instead of dog, I'll just name it as a case class, which again extends pet. All right. So similarly, let's make it as case class. Now let's run the show again. Go back to our trait class test and right click and run it. Yep, it passed. So that is it. That is it, guys. Like that's the difference between you know um, uh, cat and a dog. So that's the difference between class and a case class. So whenever you define something as case class, whatever be the constructor parameters that you give, if both are kind of equal, you still get the same result. Like these two are always become equal. Right, so that's the difference between like that is how you that's the difference between a case as well as case class, and this is how you will do pattern matching. And yeah, so another set of pattern matching is like whether both the values are kind of same or not, right? So let's try something as a switch statement, whether it work or not. Well, you know that. Okay, let's create some other statement. Now define. Okay. So along with pet, let us define some other thing called Zender, right? Which again takes a string. Okay, now extend this with gender. Uh, well, so by default, right, just to avoid unnecessary confusion, I'm just putting it as male. Like this is how I'm fixing the values, right? Same thing I'm doing it for dog, right? So by default, I'm specifying that it is male. Okay. Or you know what? Let's for a cat, let's put it as a female. I don't want to be gender biased, so let's give one for each, right? So male for dog. Okay, so whenever I'm specifying a pet, and here the point is like here I'm actually checking if what type of if it is a female. um, okay, let's try something with pattern match, like where you want to match a value. Okay, let us see if it is female and if it is male or not. Yeah, say is female method. Okay, so you can write a simple if statement, but I'm trying to use a switch statement in order to to check how how things are, right? Again, I'm passing pet. Switch statements are kind of valid if you have more elements. Yeah, but for small elements, you could actually see how it works, right? So all you do is again like instead of pet, you want to know the gender of it. Pet gender is you want to match because you don't need the entire pet to match, right? So basically, it's a string comparison that you're doing. Case. Now here I'm not checking the type, I'm checking the exact value. So that's why you don't need to extend this particular set. Instead you can write the value straight, right? So if it is female, then true. Case, if it is male, then false. So it's a simple switch statement. So there are two ways in which pattern matching can be done. One is like to match the type, and another one is to match the straight to match the value directly. Okay. Um, yeah. So let us see the third type, where, as I said, like since both the things are kind of case classes. Uh, Now let us see if I can do something. How the pattern matching can be done with case class. Okay, you know what? So before that, let us try doing this is female stuff. Go to our trait test. Again, yeah, write this assert statement. So it's kind of similar. So by default, cat I'm putting it to female, and this one I'm putting it to male. Is female. Should be true for female and false for male. Okay. Now by default cat, or I'm just creating another cat and a new cat, and I'm just naming it as Bobby. whatever, right? So works. And here I'm explicitly specifying that my gender, I'm passing it as male. Okay. All you're expecting, instead of this, you are actually putting is female. No, no, let's call it as cat2, not cat. Otherwise, it will throw an error. And yeah, guys, instead of where, you can use well, because I'm not actually using it. That maybe that's the reason why it is throwing this warning. Okay. Um, is female pet. So what I'm expecting, no guys, you don't need to do that because it's a boolean output. Okay, so assert is female, is a dog, and yeah, for dog it should be like false, and for cat it should be true, and for cat too, which is like Bobby. Or why don't we just name these guys with its names, right? So let's put Bobby. Let's call it as Stella. Let this guy be Tyson. Okay. Um, Tyson. So this is Stella, and this is Bobby. Now what I have done is like Bobby and Tyson are male, so it should actually throw negative, and Stella it's positive. So right click, run. Yes, I think somewhere, somehow I kind of, what happened? Oh, sorry, I forget to close. Yeah. Let's run it. Well, this has nothing to do with it. It's some small bug. Yep, it passed. So this is it, guys. Like when you the pattern matching can be of two types. One, you can directly match the value, and another you can match the properties of it. Now let's try another set where can we really do something with the case classes. Okay. Now let us create define. Right. I'm just saying, like, I know that there are two dogs. If it is Tyson, it is my dog, and if it is anything other than that, it is not my dog. It is some other person's dog. Okay. Now what I'm doing is my dog. Okay. And yeah, so let's put it like boolean. Oh, why can't I write is my pet? Okay. And I'm passing it as pet type of pet. Since I declared both as case classes, I have a luxury to really put it this way. So case, right, dog, If it is Tyson, comma male, right? I'm specifying that it is true, right? Another case, if it is a cat, let us say I own Stella, and yeah, which is a female, right? And female, then again, yeah, so it's again true. In every other case, so this is like for the default case, and it is false. Okay, so this is what, guys, like I own two pets. One is Tyson and Stella. So this is one advantage of case classes. But if you put a class instead of case class, this will not work. It will not even check the properties. Right. So only in case of case classes, you can actually specify, you can initialize the entire case class and see the value if it is equal or not. As you could see, switch statement always, internally calls that equal statement. So as long as it is equal, then it actually goes and verifies it. Now let's go back to our tried class test. Okay, so here we have more dogs and more cats. So let's control C, guys, and control V. Is my pet returns true for my pets. My pets being Tyson male and Stella, so like what I'll do is like for dog 3, no, let's first run it. So I was expecting that, is my pet. Yeah, so again, like this cat is actually my pet. Stella is my pet, so this will be true except for dog 2. Rest of the things, like other than Simba, I own all the 3, right? Because since it's a case class, this is kind of same. Now just right click and run it. Let us see the spelling, guys. For cat, it actually turned true. For dog, it is doing false. Let's go back and see our tried case class. Oh, yep, my bad. Yeah, because it should false, because that is Tyson is my class, but I'm actually passing Tyson, so that's why it's throwing error. So now let's rerun it. Yep, test passed. Now, interestingly, let's say there is a guy who named the doctor as, dog Tyson as female. So let us see what will happen. It should actually throw an error over here. Yep, because my case class, Tyson male is my dog, not Tyson female. So that's why it actually throws an error. So Yep, you should actually put not equal to here. In case class, it will test all the properties, guys, and only if all the properties are same, it treats as the same class. Great. So that's all, guys. So we learned about in trait class session, we learned about how to create a trait, how to make use of it. And similarly, we learned about pattern matching, three types of pattern matching case class, pattern matching with value, pattern matching with object type. Right, so that's all, guys. And we can so there is a way you can even create rights, and don't expect that right should only have the properties. You could even create a trait. You can even write these methods, like you can define something, probably like bark maybe. And yeah, so when you extend it, see, it is throwing an error because you have an abstract method called, let us say, yeah, so you have an extended method. So whenever you define something, you need to make sure you have to implement that, since you are extending this method. Oh, sorry, my bad, not like this. So since I'm extending it as pet, it expects to override all the methods that I'm kind of extending. Right, so that's what the error is all about. Must either be declared as abstract. So whenever you declare it as abstract, it expects like a definition without an abstract method. So you can just override bark. Right, here you could actually specify what is the expected output. Let us say string. Right, so and then it automatically tells you that it should return a string. Mm. You can write a simple statement. Let's say it's what will be the name and meow. Uh, yeah, so name plus meow for cat. Similarly, it expects an override. Add abstract modifier. No, implement the method. So yeah, string. Say name plus what? Name plus how dog barks bow. Right, so this is what we could write. Like whenever you create it, right, you can even define the methods. So whenever you define it, expects that all the methods should have this particular value. So that's why it is actually throwing it this way. Okay, guys, so that's all for today. We learned about trait and how to define abstract methods and case classes, objects where you don't need to initialize, and pattern matching. So that's all for today, and